character I want to talk about real quick, another actor portrayal. R. Marcus Taylor's production or depiction of Suge Knight.
Oh, Suge Knight.
Say what you will about Suge Knight. I personally think he's
A terrible person.
a terrible person. Yes. I was trying to think how I could say this without getting, backlashed. But yeah, he's an awful person.
I don't think there's anybody out in the world anymore that thinks that Suge Knight is actually a good person. Okay, I don't think you have to worry about backlash.
Yeah.
Suge Knight knows he's a terrible person.
But when we first get introduced to him, he seems a decent fella. He really does. But then as it moves along, he's
just a bodyguard at first.
Yeah.
He comes in and offers his bodyguard services. He has nothing to do with record industry or anything. He's just a big guy that carries a gun.
But his film current state of asshole.
Mm-hmm.
And I mean, he kind of was already starting to get there when they got off tour, but it wasn't really until him and Dre found Death Row Records,
Uh-huh.
and maybe he starts to see, the money and the power, and just
He loses it.
loses it. Yeah. When he beats the shit out of that guy with his gun for parking in his parking spot,
Uh-huh.
that was the turning point. In the movie, it's portrayed as that's the turning point.
Yes.
I mean, it's starting to build up to it, but the one thing is he did take the clip out of the gun.
Yeah. He did take the clip out of the gun. And while that scene was violent and kind of extreme, and Suge Knight's portrayal in the movie in general was kind of extreme, let's not forget this man actually killed someone and was found guilty in real life.
Mm-hmm.
So how they're portraying him is not that bad.
Right.
The scenes with Death Row Records I thought were really good though, because it was nice to show how much influence Dre had in some of these, legends beginnings.
Mm-hmm.
It showed him bringing Snoop Dogg in, and what were they recording? Nothing But a G Thing.
Mm-hmm.
Ain't Nothing But a G Thing, and I loved the way they did it, where the artist was coming in and Dre's just sampling some random track, and he's like, "Hey, you want to lay down some lyrics over top?" And that's how it happened. I was like, "That's cool," And then of course,
And brought in Tupac with California Love.
And Tupac was already in the studio. He's like, "Hey, I've got this new track. Why don't you take a look at, listen to it?" And that was an intense scene because he just started playing. He's like, "Hey, just mess around with it," and then he goes out to check some
noise. You think he's like door pounding on the door, and it's a party of people that have no business being there.
Mm-hmm.
And so,
and that was the beginning of the end for Dre. That's when he's like, "I got to get out of this."
Mm-hmm. And that's when he's going to start Aftermath Records, and of course, we all know what happened with Aftermath Records.
Mm-hmm.
Eminem, D12.
Yep.
So,
Yellow Wolf.
The movie starts out in '86 and goes all the way to '93 with a founding of Aftermath Records. Everything. It basically covers the three main characters, particularly their entire time frame of that, from Ice Cube and Dre leaving and starting their own labels and doing their own solo stuff.
Dre's Chronic album, Cube's. It even talks about Friday.
Mm-hmm.
It has a scene with Cube writing Friday at home.
And
why couldn't we get a young Chris Tucker in there?
yeah, right.
Yeah.
But we have we have the rap battles between NWA and Ice Cube, with them dissing each other back and forth.
That was brilliant.
In the records.
Oh, that part was so brilliant. The way they set it up was great.
And then with Dre leaving Death Row Records, basically telling Suge, go fuck yourself. I don't care if you have the masters and the money and the property and everything. I just want anything to do with you. And the last scene in the movie is him walking out the door after saying he's going to start Aftermath Records.
Yeah.
And so overall it's just a super, super powerful movie. And if this does not get some Oscar buzz, then the fuck.
I'm sorry if the guy, I can't remember his name, that was playing E does not get an Oscar nom. Then, because I'm sorry, out of everybody in the movie, I think that he would deserve it.
Mm-hmm. Jason Mitchell.
Yeah, Jason Mitchell. O'Shea Jackson Jr. Did an incredible performance of Ice Cube, and there is no denying that. But
the scene alone, when the doc tells him he has AIDS.
But yeah, Jason Mitchell died. And that was one of the things I was a little bit surprised at. I'm surprised that it went as far as it did. I did not know that it was going to encompass everything that it did, and most probably I did not think that it was going to encompass E's death.
Mm-hmm.
And
heart-wrenching scene.
Heart-wrenching. Oh God, yes. I mean, just
wow.
Incredible, everything about it.
Mm-hmm.
And it was especially heartbreaking because they had just they were getting ready for Dre and Cube to come back to try to do a new NWA album.
Yeah.
And if I remember correctly, that's actually how it was in real life. They were trying to get back together.
Yeah.
Everybody had buried the hatchet, and they were trying to all get back together. And that's when everything
turns to
crap.
low T cells
Yeah.
and stuff.
And I love the scene when he's in the hospital bed, and who is it that's in there? Ren, I think. Ren and Yellow were in there, and they were talking about how they got the tape of vocals
from Bone Thugs Harmony,
and it was Bone Thugs. And there was even a mention earlier when they were in the club that he was like, I'm doing some work with Bone Thugs,
Mm-hmm.
So that must have been Eternal 1999?
Yeah.
Or
East 1999 Eternal, I believe. Yeah.
Or something. Maybe an early version, because the
Yeah,
one they
like
actually
a
released,
demo version of it or something.
because the Crossroads had a reference Easy
Yeah.
in it, so it must have been an early one before he passed. And I liked that they mentioned that, because I was wondering if they were going to. I was like, I wonder if they're going to have Bone Thugs in it, talking about his time with them, because E helped them get started. Easy really helped them get started.
Yeah.
So
overall, fantastic flick, super fantastic. You made an interesting comparison last night to Lords of Dogtown.
I did. I noticed that, and I thought that it was curious that the similarities were there, especially since they're both based on true stories. You had the three main characters, two of them, that they all split up, two of them that go and make it big, and then that third one that's just kind of stuck in the same town, hasn't been able to get out of it, and is just kind of doing his thing and trying to make it as big as he can, even though the other two are the ones that have all the success.
Mm-hmm.
Plus the shady manager,
Jerry and Skip.
The only difference is that, he quote unquote had a lot of money, even though he was actually broke.
Mm-hmm.
And in Lords of Dogtown, Jay's character was just broke.
Right.
But I think it was more of an integrity thing for them, especially in Lords of Dogtown, but in Straight Outta Compton, it seemed that, in E's mind, he's starting in Compton, he didn't want to leave Compton. That's where he felt that the roots were.
Mm-hmm.
And he felt that he could still get something going staying in that town. But the other
even though
two...
he did, get the big house and move out,
Yeah.
but his heart was always there.
Uh-huh. It seemed that the other two were smart enough to realize that Compton was a cancer.
Mm-hmm.
And the only reason why they were popular at all was because they were pissed They were angry, but they couldn't sustain that.
Yeah. You have to grow up eventually.
Yeah. But the main crux of the story really only takes place only in a span of like 4 years.
Mm-hmm.
It was like
The rest of it's just kind of
It was like
extra.
87 was when NWA started getting popular, and then 91 was when they all kind of
Dissipated and did their own thing.
I was like, that group was really only around for 4 years and only did one main album.
Right. They did another small one, but it wasn't. But that was after Ice Cube left.
Yeah.
So, one thing that I think we might start doing on these reviews, especially on new stuff when we go to the movie theater, is what we want to see on the DVD or Blu-ray release. Yeah.
Yeah.
Personally, I want to see old interviews with the group from old vintage interviews. Maybe like to see that press conference after the Detroit show, like the actual press conference.
I don't know if that was a real thing or not.
Well, if it was, I would
If
like
it
to see
was,
it for real.
yeah.
Maybe some rough demos, or just maybe some audio tracks, or maybe even include a CD with some of the rough demos.
That would be cool. That would be really neat. I'd like to see some old music videos, which I won't be surprised at all if they actually do end up including those, like the Straight Outta Compton video, because they even showed it in the movie.
Yeah.
Maybe some of the old news reports that they actually had in the movie, maybe have like a montage of those.
Mm-hmm.
That would be really neat. Like some of the old, like some like news videos, press releases, things like that, talking about NWA, and I mean, they were labeled the most dangerous group in America by the news and the media. Maybe have some of that, maybe have some of the stuff that was like maybe some of the members' reactions to the Rodney King controversy, because that actually played a pretty decent sized part at the end.
Mm-hmm.
And there was a really funny scene where Ice Cube was supposed to be giving an interview, and he thought that he was going to be talking about the Rodney King beatings and police brutality, and the interviewer just wanted to talk about NWA and his music and stuff like that, and he tells him to fuck off very, very hilariously.
Mm-hmm. Hi, I'm Ice Cube. Eat a dick, get out of my house.
Yeah.
Get the fuck out. I'm not one for commentary, but I would like to see have a commentary track with Dre, Cube, F. Gary Gray, the director. And you had said that you would like to have.
I think that it would be interesting to bring John Singleton in for either commentary or maybe just like a little interview with him, talking about, asking him his feelings on the movie, anything, even if it's just like 5-10 minutes.
Right.
Because I mean, this is the guy that directed Boys in the Hood, that directed Ice Cube and Boys in the Hood. He grew up in LA. He was a director at the time that all this was happening. I mean, he hadn't established himself yet, because Boys in the Hood is where he established himself.
Right.
But he was there. He went through this. He knew about it, and he was a little bit older than these guys at the time. So it would bring maybe a little bit of a different perspective in. And I think that would be really neat. Or maybe, I don't know, I think that he would be a good person to have in to talk about. And of course, the actors.
Yeah.
Commentary with the actors, with the 3 main actors, would be great, and have that be a separate track from the other ones.
Another thing I'd like to see is maybe some outtakes.
Yeah.
Because as deep and sometimes as dark as the film is, there's lots of parts in it that are actually really funny.
Oh yeah, especially the Bye Felicia part.
Yeah.
That part was
Bye,
hilarious.
Felicia.
That part was hilarious.
And you're like, everybody's just dying, because anybody who's seen Friday knows, everybody, that's where the term Bye Felicia came from.
Uh-huh.
is from Friday, and I think it was hilarious that Cube Jr. used it.
And I have to wonder if that was actually a real story from NWA's touring days, and that's where Cube got it and put it into the
Yeah.
Friday movie. That would be so funny.
And they bring up, you got knocked the fuck out! And because his wife asks him, how's Friday coming? He's like, oh, this is hilarious. So overall, it's definitely a good movie. I actually kind of want to go see it again, but I probably will wait until the DVD comes out. That way, I can kind of let it stew a little bit more, and see, maybe go back and watch it again to see if it was, all the hype that made this such a good movie, or if it was just a really generally good movie. That's the problem that I have with these type of movies that are so good on first watch, but maybe sometimes it's just the hype behind it.
Yeah.
I get a feeling it is just the fact that it's a really good movie, but
yeah, I think that it was just a really damn good movie.
I think this will lead to more biopics, more high quality biopics.
I hope so.
I think the formula has been right. Is like have the people that actually the movie is about write it, especially if they're not afraid to write all the negativity that happens to them and not just show all the good stuff.
Or at least have somebody involved that was there, at the time. Like Walk the Line had Johnny Cash and John and June Cash's approval to do it, and they gave information, and they said, hey, this is some stuff that happened, blah blah blah. They didn't write it, but they were involved in it.
Lords of Dogtown was produced by Stacey Peralta. So
there's I was telling my mom about one that's going to be coming out soon that I'm actually a little bit intrigued by, and that is it's called I Saw the Light, and it is a biopic of Hank Williams, and Tom Hiddleston is playing Hank Williams, the guy who played Loki, and I think that he's an interesting choice for it. There's some other people in it that I'm like, okay, this is going to be cool. David Krumholtz is in it, Bradley Whitford's in it, some people that are interesting choices to be in it, and I think that that's one that has some potential to be really good, and I would like to see, I hope that we get some more interesting ones.
Yeah. So check it out if you're interested in NWA, if you're interested in any of the solo careers of these rap artists, if you're interested in quote-unquote gangster rap from late 80s or early 90s, or if you're just a fan of music or just a fan of movies, or just, why don't you just go and watch it?
Yeah.
Period. And don't take your kids.
Yeah, it's a little bit rough.
It's a little bit rough. I mean, if they're older, 10, 11, 12, and they're a little mature, yeah, they can probably handle it, but don't take no 6-year-old kids in there. It's really shame on you. Parents in the back of the theater that we saw, who kept turning on their phone. So anyway, thanks for watching. This went really long. I don't even care. I don't even give a fuck this went long. So, thanks for watching. Blessed be.